Hello and good morning. My name's Luke and this is the introduction video to my new channel. Now, just to give you a brief of what the channel is going to be about, it is primarily going to be with my wife, who I will introduce in probably a week or so. And it's going to be about travel. I'm a minibus driver. I do a lot of work with airports and travel. I get to discuss, most of my time is discussing holidays. So we travel a fair bit now. The kids are grown up, left home, so we like to travel. We do it on a decent budget, not expensive. And the comments I'm constantly getting is, how do you get it so cheap? How do you do all this? So I think we're going to try and share some of that with you people, you good people. We're in Morocco, Agadir, in Morocco next week. About a week's time, actually, a week on Monday. So we're going to document that, and then hopefully we can put out some tips, and you'll be able to see. It's a holiday. It should be very, very good, hopefully. But I want to also get on to what a part of the channel I want to run, and this is about concerns about what life is going to be like in the UK. Now, how this comes about, I've watched lots of other contents and very, very good people on YouTube. Jeff Buys Cars, Richard Vobes, etc. Spoken to both of them via email, etc. But they're very informative, and I like the content. Now, what really pushed me to do this is the other morning, I dropped off at Gatwick and I was driving back. No passengers. I put the radio on just for a bit of company, really. And what I found, there was a Talk TV or Talk Radio, which one you want to call it, James Max show, and they review the papers for the morning, and people call in, and he usually asks a question, and the question that day was, what do you think the biggest threat is to the UK? And people called up, and we had the sort of sarcastic, the Labour Party, the Conservative Party, Rishi Sunak, all of those kind of things, Brexit. Of course, that gets itself into every single question. And then we had some more serious ones, war in Ukraine, Korea, China, and all those things. Very, very serious matters at the moment. But I thought about it myself and thought, well, what do I think is the biggest threat to me in the UK? What's going to affect me, my work, what I like to do? And my answer was net zero. Now, I'm not a climate change denier. I'm not saying the climate isn't changing. I'm not saying we shouldn't do something. I'm not saying it isn't man-made. I think we should clean our act up. I think we have been wrong with the planet for a long time. We need to be a bit more careful. But the reason I bring it up is because it feels to me like the UK and its government seem to be disproportionately going ahead with this compared to other countries. When China and India have no plans to be net zero by 2050, the Americans, it can change at any moment because their politics, they have actually their politics change. As we knew, Trump pulled out of the climate agreements. Biden put them back in them, and it could all change again very shortly. So our contribution to climate change is very, very tiny, as we all know. But we seem to be trailblazing along with having this disproportionate, measures put onto us that are going to affect our lives, and not going to be. Most people are not really educated. I don't want to say not clever, but not aware of what effects it's going to have, or I believe it's going to have on their lives. This is a worry because it's a worry for me at work. It's a worry for things that we enjoy, like our holidays. It's going to affect our grandchildren and life. I think the only way I can realistically put it down to is that we're all going to be a lot poorer, and we have to. There doesn't seem to be any consultation with us, the people. There doesn't seem to be any way you can vote against anything, because both the main parties are doing exactly the same thing, saying, well, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. We're going to close everything down, rely on wind power. and we're going to have a greener future. This just simply isn't true. A lady in the House of Lords, I really wish I could remember her name and find the video, said a piece. She spoke a piece, but people, we need to be honest with people that technology is not going to replace all the things that we currently have. It was also said by Trudy Harrison, the Transport Secretary, saying that, people need to accept that electric vehicles, etc., the technology is not going to replace what we've got at the moment. People are going to have to change their way of life. Now, what exactly she means by that, I'm not sure, but I think we can all see it coming with the implementation of low traffic neighbourhoods, ULEZ zones, and all the other things that they're bringing into place. And I don't know if you're seeing it, but it's accelerating at a very, very quick pace. 15-minute cities, low traffic neighbourhoods, ULEZ zones, this is all coming in, and when people object to it, they're labelled as far-right conspiracy theories, yet the whole lot's being done under their nose. And as I say, if you argue against it, you're branded for, as an extremist. So I've got a whole load of videos that I intend to make lined up, which are to do with what is going to be our sacrifices, and some of them I believe are very, very frightening. These people are not talking about putting you into an electric car and don't worry, it's all going to be okay. These people don't want you to own a car. They don't want you to move around. They don't want you to go further than 15 minutes from your home wherever possible. They even want to control how many calories you can consume a day. They want to control what you eat insects, because they believe that's going to help. There's nothing excuse me, there's nothing positive I can come out of this and say, yeah, I think that's going to be better in life. We're going to find that travel's very expensive. We're going to find that food's very expensive, or probably limited. And I think the government is quite happy. I don't think it gaslights people as such, but it's happy to hide behind this rhetoric that, oh, don't worry, they believe this. Just like the lockdowns. Anybody 5 years before lockdown had suggested that the government's going to come out with an order and you're not going to be able to leave your home, would have laughed you off and said, conspiracy theories, go and put your tinfoil hat on, kind of thing. This actually happened, and I do believe what the consequence of us, we all did the right thing and went along with it. The consequence of that is that now they believe that they have the mandate or the power to do whatever they wish, and we're going to go along with it. So very, very frightening times. As I say, it's going to affect my work, it's going to affect my travel, and I believe they will probably put me out of work. A job that I love, a job that I wanted to carry on into retirement, because I don't know about most people. Most people don't really have a, if you're like me, you don't have a huge pension pot going. But this is a job I could do part time, well into my 70s probably. But I think that's probably very, very unlikely now. I'm being honest, I don't even think it's maybe even last this year. It's been very, very hard on the trade. And it's getting harder. Vehicles are so expensive, everything's so expensive, so a lot of people are leaving. So that's the main main sort of gist of the channel, is that we're going to talk about net zero. I want to talk about jobs. As I say, I've just said with jobs myself, but are we being given any idea of how many jobs are going to be lost? They keep saying, well, don't worry, we'll replace them with green jobs. What are these green jobs? Where are they? I see there's dates for stopping of selling of petrol and diesel cars. Well, that's already cost 1,300 jobs in the UK from Ford. Where are the green jobs that are going to replace these? Which manufacturers or car people are employing these 1,300 people to work on electric vehicles? Because it doesn't seem to happen. And we're going to have more and more on this as power stations are shut down, as gas boilers are taken out of commission, Of course, people will argue, well, they'll just be heat pump engineers, but many of these, who's going to train them? Who's paying for the training? I don't see anything put in place here. So jobs is going to be a big one. I mean, there's 35 million people, I believe, in the world employed in the oil industries. If we stop all using oil, which obviously is not going to happen for a long time, that's 35 million jobs gone. There are also talks from governments that have publicly said they're looking at possibly universal basic incomes to replace, as they don't think there will be enough work for all people. Well, that's basically benefits and universal credit. I don't want to be on that. I've worked all my life. I've worked since I was 18 years old. I don't want to be on universal basic income. I want to be working. And I just feel that I may be one of the people put out on the scrap heap, as many of my qualifications now are old. I'm out of date on the jobs I used to do, like in information technology, etc. I'm not current with these things anymore, so I'm not going to be able to just jump back into that kind of work. So yeah, very worrying on that thing. I also want to talk about the studies. Now they've funded various studies into net zero, how we're going to achieve it. One of them that you could look up yourselves and worth having a read through, please do, is one from the UK Fires Organisation, and it's called the Absolute Zero Report. This is their kind of roadmap to how you're going to reach net zero. It's compiled by various universities, Oxford, Cambridge, I think one of the London ones as well, and I think there's a few others. And I'm going to say, like, remember the old Crime Watch paper, don't have nightmares, please sleep well, after reading that, because it's it's quite pompous in a way. It's been written quite condescending, but if you pick the bones out of it, they have, like, this is what's got to happen in these certain times. And a couple of ones that spring out to me is that all airports must shut by 2030, with the exception of Heathrow, Glasgow and Belfast. Now, that's a lot of my work, obviously. And that is, when we look at it, it's only 6.5 years away, or just over 6.5 years away, give or take a month. Is this, how much of the government, how much is the government following this? And how much is it just, oh, well, that's what our recommendations, we'll have a look at it. So that's the thing that we don't know. We will have to we need to be looking into these things, and there needs to be some transparency soon. We need to be getting transparency from the government. So that's one issue. Then we've got the 15-minute cities. I actually haven't told you, I live in West Sussex, and I live in a market town. And was absolutely flabbergasted to find that there's a planned one round here. So that's going to be good. I've got all the information, and I'm going to do that in a later video. And hopefully we can follow the development of it and how it looks. See if there's kind of like how they're going to build this. And I've already noticed some stuff in the booklets and that they're putting out, that they're saying that you can cycle to these places within 15 minutes. Well, I can tell you can't. Some of the places they're mentioning are on A roads, and I can't even drive it in 15 minutes. So I don't know if Chris Boardman or something has been doing the timings for this. So that's another interesting one. And then there's farming. Farmers look like it's going to be devastated, and I'm very worried. When you start losing farming, it's not easy to get back if you need to. Also talk about where the orders are coming from. Where I say orders, maybe that's the wrong thing to say, but it appears that this is all being pushed along by a globalist organisation, the WEF, World Economic Forum, who seem to be giving orders out, and our governments are following them. Now, I don't know about this. Why a government would listen to a billionaires club, but then I can see possibly why they might have to, because I'm sure that they could make their lives very, very difficult if they didn't go along with their orders. So we'll talk about that, the people involved in that. What I don't want to talk about, however, or get into, anything to do with COVID vaccinations, 9/11, all of these things. I know chemtrails is another one. All of these things, I know that the people out there, and they've got brilliant content, done a lot of research. I respect them 100%, and there's lots of concerns there. But one of the things that is concerning me is that this fuels the fire of how they can brand us conspiracy theories. Information is power. If we're not all going to be contained into a little neighbourhood, have our transportation taken away, being told what to eat, what to drink, what every part of our lives controlled, like we're in the CCP or something, we need to wake as many people up. And if we start crashing in there and say, oh yeah, 15-minute cities, climate change, net zero, oh, and by the way, COVID vaccination and this, that and the other, people switch off. They do. They will not listen. That will be, they don't really want to hear about the first subject. Many people look for an excuse to switch off. And that will, unfortunately, I do think is counterproductive. So please don't message me with any asking me to cover it. There are loads of other people that will cover that, and I know it's very important, and I'm not dismissing what you're saying. It's just I want to keep to the one subject so we can get good information out there, and we can relate what we can, and even discuss how we might combat it if we can. I fear that some things are going to be brought in whether we want them or not. I think they will fail. I don't want people to worry. I think they will ultimately fail, but I do think my personal belief is that at least some of us are going to have this happen to us. Maybe not all of us, but there's going to have to be a fight back after that. So yeah, I'm going to end this video now. I hope I've given people something to think about. As I say, I have got a series of videos lined up that I'll try and cut down into chunks all of these, what we believe, because they're not giving us much information, but what is going to happen with this net zero initiative, and we can then look at the individual things and how it can affect us all. So hopefully I have introduced myself okay, and I say the next video will be one with my wife, and we're going to be off to Agadir in Morocco, and then we're going to do the videos are going to be on how we can hopefully save you a bit of money and give you a bit of time when you go away. I say we talk to people that go on holiday all the time, and they always say, how do you get it at that price? How do you do this? How do you do that? And I'm sure many people do know about this, but if it can help more, then we'd love to do so. So anyway, thanks for listening. Keep an eye, press the like button, or subscribe, even better subscribe, and then as soon as the videos have come out, I'll get them on there. As soon as I've done them, I'll get them on ASAP for you. Okay then, thanks for listening. Bye bye.